Okay, so today I'm going to upgrade the torch for my ArcDroid. For my ArcDroid I'm using a Primeweld Cut 60, and it's been working great with the handheld torch that comes with it. It's IPT60, and I just decided that I wanted to be able to use the hand torch when I want to cut something by hand without having to take it off the ArcDroid. So I'm not going to tell you it's a cost-effective move, but I picked up a CNC torch, which is cool because the Primeweld CNC torch uses the same consumables as the hand torch, so that's great. The downside is it's $275. So we'll get that hooked up and we'll see how it works, but I think it's going to be good. So I mentioned in my last video that I was going to hook up the torch height control input feedback, the voltage feedback from my plasma cutter. So I use, as I've said, Primeweld Cut 60, and this is the plug that they give you. On the Cut 60, it uses terminals 4 and 6 for the 1 to 50 or 1/50th feedback signal. So 4 is the negative, 6 is the positive, and I hadn't hooked that up, but I had used a conductor with 4 wires, so you see now I have it hooked up. The torch height control voltage comes in on aux2, and it is, the polarity matters, so I think terminal 6 on the Primeweld is the positive, so that one is the red wire, it goes to the positive on the aux2, the green is the negative. So I've got that hooked up, and we'll see. After I get the new torch calibrated, we'll do a cut without torch height control, make sure everything's working, and then we'll turn on the torch height control and maybe bend the material and see if it can actually handle it. Stay tuned for that. Alright, so I got the torch all set up, which isn't too difficult, obviously. Just put the screws on it. The model of the torch is the PTM60. It's the only CNC torch that Primeweld sells. So I think we're going to do a calibration. I'm not 100% convinced we have to do a calibration just because we changed the torch. The arm position shouldn't be different because of that, but we're going to do it anyway. So to calibrate this guy, you need this shuttle that rides on the triangle. This stuff all comes with the ArcDroid, and it steps you through it. So go to the calibrate screen. It says current calibration looks valid. Next to calibrate from current, or use default to start from defaults. Use next. Place machine flat level surface, calibration fixture in front of the machine. So now you just install the shuttle, stick it in position 1. Calibration is simple, but I wouldn't say it's easy. Sometimes things move and you end up having to start over. Or if things aren't level, it can be a pain to keep the torch end or the stylus in contact with the triangles and the shuttle. So again, it's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. So next, just going to do a homing operation. So make sure you don't have things in the way. I put this cord up here because just to keep it out of the way. It doesn't really do anything for this part. So attach the stylus, leave the shuttle plugged in, and then press next. So now we come over here and lower the stylus onto the shuttle. And next, slowly move the tool to the other end. So trying to keep them together, smoothly moving down this triangle. Okay, next Now it wants to go to position 2, which is across the face of the machine. This is the one that I find hardest to actually make it move smoothly. Okay, it's touching. Next, now I slide it across. Every time the shuttle hits a hole there, it's another data point. Okay, next, position 3. So after we do this with the stylus, all 3 positions, we'll put the torch on and do it again with the torch. Next. Next. Okay, so we leave the shuttle hooked up, remove the stylus, and then hook up the torch. I will point out that Andrew has a very good video on doing this on ArcDroid CNC's their website, so it's not like I'm doing any breaking ground stuff here, but I guess it doesn't hurt to show a home user doing it. Alright, so torch is attached, shuttle's plugged in, positioned on rail 1, torch lowered onto the lining hole, and then we slide it again. Position 2. Next, and slide again. Next, position 3. Slide again. Next, solving for parameters. So it's validating the data it collected. Trying to write file. Press next to apply settings or exit to abort. Results look good. Settings saved to machine, so we're all calibrated. It says press next to rehome. Next. Alright, so that's it. That's calibration. We should be able to do some cutting. Okay, so I know I said I was going to do some testing of the torch height compensation, but that isn't going to happen because I was under the impression that they had unlocked that, but it actually isn't unlocked. It says ArcDroid torch height compensation is currently in beta. To unlock this feature free of charge, contact info@arcdroidcnc.com. So I sent off that email, but and it's Saturday, I wouldn't expect to get a response today. If we do, I'll make a video playing with that. There are other videos out there of people who've done some work on that. Ant Mechanic comes to mind. He's got some pretty good videos. Anyway, but what we can do is we can do a test of the new torch, and we can see if our calibration is good. Let's see, let's draw something to cut. Like shape, rectangle. I guess that's a good place for it. Select rectangle. So I drew this a second ago. So I have a 1 inch by 9 inch rectangle. It just defaulted to that because that's what I did. Let's assume that I'm cutting something out that I want to keep. 0.25 lead in, and it's entering from the outside of the object, rectangle. And let's give it the corners a radius for the heck of it. 0.25, so it's 1 inch. I'm doing a 1/4 inch radius on the corners. And that'll be a good thing to test with. It's long enough that we should see if there's a calibration issue. Well, a big calibration issue, we'll see it. Zoom in on that. That's what it looks like. Save it. Exit. Zoom back out a little bit. And let's just do a dry run on this and see what it does. I can move the 0 a little bit more to the left just to get 0 it like right here. And again. Guess I should move it back to the corner a little bit. Just for material savings, let's put it right here. 0. Run it. And I'll get the torch fired up so we can actually run it with the torch on. Sorry about the fan noise in the background, but it's hot and getting hotter here, so. Let's see, so that works. This is 16 gauge material, so. Should be about 30 amps, so it is set to 30 amps. I want to do about 110 inches per minute, and this is set for 150 inches per minute, so I think I'm going to change that. And then we should be able let me put my goggles on, turn the torch on, and let's see what happens. Okay, so that was strange. When I moved the controller around the torch, I don't know what I did, but maybe I somehow got the Cat 5 cable next to the ground or something, but it actually shocked me on the controller, and the ArcDroid just froze, stopped moving. So I shut off the ArcDroid from the switch in the back and reset it, and everything seems to be okay. I reloaded the same file that I was trying to cut before, and I set the 0 so it's right next to the place I cut before. So let's try a dry run first. Make sure everything's still controlling properly. And I'll just keep the controller away from the work area. Looks right. And I'll turn the torch back on and see if it does the right thing. Looks good. Sure looks like it's moving fast, but it cut it properly. Where's your gloves? This thing's hot as hell. So the cut looks straight, square, and all that. Piece that came out. I'm pretty happy with that. The new torch seems to work pretty well. And maybe I'll cut a circle just to see what that looks like. Okay, so I drew another object, basically a washer. So it's a 3-inch circle with a half-inch circle in the middle. So yeah, fender washer or something. And so let's run it, dry run, see what it does. Should cut the half-inch circle first, and the 3-inch circle. So let's see what that looks like with the torch running. About the compressor noise. So I noticed that it didn't completely cut on the inner circle. There's a piece that's not cut. I mean, I've had worse, but I wasn't sure why it did that. I went back and checked the controller, and it was back up to 150 inches per minute, which is just too fast. I lowered it to 110 and reset the 0. And I'm not sure how it got back up to 150 unless that happened when it locked up and I reset it. But anyway, back to 110 inches per second. I'll turn off the torch, make sure I've got the 0 position right. And I'll try to cut another one, see if it cuts more cleanly. The outer portion cut okay at 150, but 150 is just a little too fast for this torch and this material. And it looks like it's going really, really fast. This looks more reasonable. So I'll turn the torch back on and we'll do it again. That's better. There we go, our washer. Alright, it's always something, isn't it? I noticed on the last cut that it appeared to start moving before the pierce was done, so the cut hadn't started yet, which isn't terrible for what I was doing here, but it's not right. So I changed the pierce delay, increased it, so let's see if that was the right move. Might have been decrease is the right move. But so I moved it over. I'm going to cut the same washer, 2 circles, and let's see what it does. Okay, so that's a lot better. The torch doesn't start moving before the pierce cut is complete, so it's a much better, cleaner cut that way. You see the centerpiece fell out on its own without sticking due to dross. The other thing is, in my last video I added these pans to catch the sparks and slag, and I forgot to put them in because I was too excited about the torch, but so anyway, they seem to work, and I like the new torch. Okay, so we got the new torch hooked up, and I'm pretty happy with that. It can just live there now, and I can leave my hand torch to use for, cutting off, like I cut off this material from a sheet. Thanks to my brother-in-law for giving me these scraps to play with. As soon as I hear back from ArcDroid about the torch height control or compensation activation, I'll get that activated, and we'll take some of this bent metal and maybe we'll bend it a little bit and do some testing with that and see how that works. But pretty pleased with my pans. They seem to catch stuff when you remember to put them in, and maybe we'll get a real project out here soon. But right now I'm kind of into experimenting with getting the cuts to work. I mean, even today you can see we started out with that failure, which I'm not sure what that was, except for basically shocking myself and the controller. But if we got that settled, we got some pretty clean cuts, and once I have my settings right, and yeah, I'm happy with that. So we'll get some real projects after we get the experimenting done, but I really would like to get the torch height compensation working, just to see if that can help out with some of this time when you run the torch into the metal. As you go uphill, it can run the torch into the metal. So, but that's what we have for today, so thanks for watching.